Hello, and welcome to Have At Us, Reviews for Your Pleasure. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Nietzsche.
This is episode 5, Festival of Fools. Today, we are reviewing The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the animated, amazing classic, spectacular Disney movie, end of episode.
That was a really short episode for something that isn't as spectacular as you just made it out to be. What is so spectacular about this? Let's hear it.
Many things. Many things. Actually, not that many things, but a couple things that particularly stand out.
Mm-hmm.
One of the top 3 songs in Disney animated history. So I really like that. Not the best, but top 3.
What song is this?
Hellfire.
You like Frollo's Hellfire song?
I love that song. It's one of the best. I really like it. It's great. It's spectacular.
It's kind of weird, let me tell you. The animation with it, along with the song, is weird.
Oh.
Because he's sitting there, like, clutching her scarf thing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he's about to, like, rub one off with this scarf. He's so obsessed. It's so queer.
Well, he's really repressed, obviously. And he doesn't know what to do with these desires. It really shows. But I think that's a great sequence. I really love it. Outside of that, I would say I think the animation is actually really cool. I really like the look of the city and Notre Dame itself. I think the animation is really good. I think a lot of the shots are really good. The characters, I think, are pretty solid. So all around, I think it's a pretty good movie. It's definitely my favorite Disney movie.
Your favorite Disney movie?
As far as animated movies, yeah.
It's not a terrible Disney movie, but it's not great. I can't think of anything that is great about this movie.
I think the themes it explores are pretty good. I think they're simple, but I think that's a product of it being a Disney animated movie, right? It's made for children. Got that rated G for use of tobacco. No other reason. Just a goat smoking a pipe. But I think the themes are pretty good. I think it has a darker tone to it at some places. I like the villain. I like how it's kind of a timeless story that's pretty relatable, I think, to a lot of people. Easy to relate to or understand.
At what point did you relate to this? I did not relate to this ever. Like, I didn't feel like at any point that I related to any characters or any scene in this. Like, I've never been locked in a bell tower. I'm not a gypsy fleeing for my life at any point. Or, like, having to work in an underground society. I'm not goody two-shoes knight over there. I let these people burn. I don't risk my life to go into that building for them. I don't know why he, couldn't just kick open the door and then they would run out. Look how easy that would be.
Dramatic effect. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always thought you were a gypsy.
You always thought I was a gypsy.
I didn't know what else you could be.
That hurts my feelings. And every other gypsy on the planet is offended.
Probably.
How
many are there?
I hope there's a gypsy who is listening to this and that he or she is offended and writes in a hate letter to you.
I will accept that hate letter.
I hope you frame it.
I don't know that I'd frame it. I would keep it, though, at the very least. Maybe get it laminated.
Wow.
Yeah, first hate letter. Can't go wrong with that.
But anyway, now that we are so far off topic, who or what do you relate to in this?
Well, I think back to when I first saw this as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the few Disney movies I actually watched a lot when I was younger. I think we had it on VHS, classic format of VHS. Loved it. Loved hitting that rewind button. Great stories. But I always liked Quasimodo and how, he's kind of an outcast. And I was kind of like a shy kid. I always kind of thought pretty negatively of myself. And so I could relate to this kind of like mentality of being an outcast. Not that my parents told me I was like some monster and tried to get me locked up. Obviously, that didn't happen. But I think there's a story there that's relatable of wanting to go out and explore the world and actually get to know people and maybe struggle with that. And so I think that's where the relatability comes in.
Okay. I don't see that. Like, I don't feel like I experienced the same level of, like, downtroddenness that he clearly has. I do like the scene with the bird, though, where the bird is clearly the typecast of him. Or not the typecast, the typification of him, because he's holding the bird out, and he's, encouraging the bird to spread its wings and fly, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. That's some good level of detail there. I liked that. I wish we could have seen the bird come back just like fly by at some point. But maybe we did, but I did not see that.
I don't remember seeing that. It'd be kind of a nice detail.
Yeah, it would be a good detail. So you relate to good old Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Quasimodo, yeah.
Yeah, he is the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Or however we want to say this. I don't hate Quasimodo. I like him sometimes, but I feel like this whole movie hinges on the light switch. It's either, when does this scene end? Or like, okay, this is fine. This is good. The whole beginning, the first like 15, 20 minutes of this movie, I was so bored. I was just like, what is happening? I don't care. I don't care about your stupid bad guy who's clearly bad and is a mean person. I would have felt better if you had murdered a child. Like, at least that would have been like, boom, I'm a bad person. I murdered a child. But he just murders the child's mother, and then he's going to be a conniving jerk from the get-go. There's no surprises there.
Oh, certainly not. I mean, it's very in your face. I mean, you basically know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I actually think the opening sequence is really great, with him riding the horse and chasing down the woman with the baby. I think that's a really cool sequence. I really like the visuals of it. I like the music with it. I think that all fits together really well.
The music is never bad in this, but it's not always fitting and enjoyable. And part of that is we took like the musical aspect of things and we're like, I'm in mid-sentence. Let me sing a song about my predicament. Please don't. Please don't. Please stop singing mid-sentence. If we launch into a song, you want to do a montage scene, we could have done a montage scene. Montage scene. With Quasimodo being young and then growing up, learning how to work the bells in like a, 2 or 3 minute song. And then him whittling all the people and seeing that grow as it goes on in the song. That could have been great. We didn't do that.
No, we got the little puppets that show him climbing the tower with Frollo. And then the next time you see him, he's slightly bigger. And then the third time you see it, he's, fully grown. And then it switches to him ringing the bells.
Yeah, which isn't as good. It's not as good as what I just described.
I think that's pretty good. It's quick and efficient and kind of creative.
I hated the puppets.
Hated the puppets.
The puppets were stupid. I didn't like the intro with the stupid jester kid. I was like, please stop. Stop. I don't want your puppets. I don't feel like this is a good end cap either. Like, I appreciate you thematically closed the story, how you opened it, but I was not interested in him. I wasn't interested in his stupid nonsense. He's not good. He's a bad character.
The jester.
Yeah, he's a bad character.
Yeah, I'm pretty indifferent about him.
He's just there, and he's kind of a jerk and mean, and...
He's a jerk.
He's not very funny. Like, I feel like he's supposed to be kind of funny sometimes, and I never really thought he was very funny. But I don't think most of the humor in this is funny, ever. I can't think of a single scene that I thought was funny in this.
I would agree that the humor is not particularly great. The only scene that I kind of find humorous is Phoebus and his interaction with the knights when he first meets Esmeralda. Kind of like that. I think that's pretty enjoyable. I like the goat. That's about it. That's. I don't think it's a really funny movie or anything.
Fairly enough. I do like when him and Esmeralda are fighting, and he's like, oh, I didn't know you had a kid. I like that little witty play after he got hit in the testicles by a goat.
How unfortunate for him.
Because everybody in this movie got hit in the testicles. All the time, it feels like. Quasimodo didn't get hit in the testicles.
No.
He's above that. He got his lot in life, and it was cursed. So we allowed him to not have to get hit in the testicles.
It's true. That's fortunate for him. I mean, Esmeralda seems to go for the low blow pretty often. It's a good plan, so if it works, don't fix it.
Look, she is wooing men, and she is hitting people in the testicles. She is all about the male genitalia in one way or the other.
I mean, who isn't?
Me. You've admitted to being a homosexual on air. Esmeralda. All about the male genitalia one way or the other. She seduces good old Phoebus. That was kind of a weird deal. I just feel like they were always flirting. I never felt like they weren't flirting. Which ruins that horse scene for me, basically. I just feel like he's flirting with her. Like, he's just head gawked. Like, he's about to walk into a wall. He's so entranced with this girl.
Can you blame him?
I can. What's good about Esmeralda?
I mean, she definitely has the best design of a female in Disney movies.
The best design of any female in any Disney movie.
Yeah, definitely the best.
Any Disney female character at all.
Yes, I like her.
Like Alice in Wonderland. Alice is great. Alice is so good. It's plain, it's nice, it's clean.
Alice's design is fine, but it doesn't stand out.
I just have to stand up for Alice here, okay?
I understand.
But Esmeralda is not, no, she's not great. I don't think she's great. I don't love her design. I don't love her as a character in this. I do not understand Esmeralda and why you really like her at all.
As a character, I'm not going to sit here and sing her praises. I think she's adequate for the movie. I think she's good. But I think, she's just one of the parts of the film. She's not the whole of it. But design-wise, just from an artistic view, I think it's really good. I really like the purple in the dress. I think that's really nice. I really like the hoop earrings.
The hoop earrings.
Yeah, I generally really don't like hoop earrings, but I think it really works in the design. Her hair, I think, is really cool. Overall, I just think it's a pretty cool design. I like it a lot.
Doesn't she only have one earring? Because the other earring is on the goat. I'm pretty sure. Because I was like, why does the goat have an earring? And I was like, oh, she doesn't have another earring. Okay, whatever. You guys are like buddy-buddy. You share your jewelry. Oh, great.
I don't know if that's accurate.
The goat had an earring.
I know the goat had an earring. I don't remember her having only one earring, though.
Whatever. She's not good. Her design is fine. It's whatever. I do not think that her design is anything to write home about. She's just some colored woman in a purple dress. Whatever. Who cares?
I don't know. I always liked her design. So, I don't really like her in the red dress. It looks like she's got abs and stuff in it. It's kind of weird.
A red dress?
Yeah.
Where does that even happen?
In the Festival of Fools.
When she's doing her dance?
Yeah, on the stage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really like that look very much, but that's fine.
I mean, I don't remember anything about it, really. She was never impressive to me, and I knew you really liked her, and I was like, this woman better make some good marks. And then she was just boring. She wasn't great. She kind of just got everybody in trouble often.
True, she did do that.
I would have rather, seen some dilemmas of, maybe I should just turn myself in so he doesn't burn down the entire city or something, or...
She's got a rebellious spirit. Says, no, I ain't turning myself in. Paris can burn.
Apparently it can. She doesn't even care. She doesn't even care.
That's fine.
She's a jerk. She just let everybody down.
She didn't let anybody down.
She let Quasimodo down. She crushed his feelings. She played this kid, and then she just crushed his feelings.
It is kind of interesting. I feel like in a lot of Disney films, she would have ended up with Quasimodo, but she doesn't. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But I actually think it is kind of a diversion of expectations from what would probably normally occur, where it's he can be loved even though he's so ugly. That's not really what happened. Befriended, but, it's about it.
My issue is more so with her playing him. She gives him a little kiss, encourages him on. That was very clearly. She is using him for her own gain. I don't think that she's, so callous as to not be sincere about, wanting to be friends with him and wanting good things for him and trying to be nice to him. But she clearly is wooing this kid.
Is it intentional, or is her nature just to be a bit flirtatious?
That's not a bit flirtatious. That's way far, especially in time frame.
I don't know. I didn't really have a huge problem with it.
No. She's a jerk.
Okay.
She's a mean person.
Okay.
She's clearly there trying to entice people.
Yeah.
See, you fell. See, I'm a better person than you. I am more righteous than you. Because I did not fall into the seductress's trap here.
Now you're sounding like Frollo.
Well, Frollo fell into the trap.
Yeah, but he calls himself a righteous man. And you just called yourself a righteous man.
I mean, Frollo is mistaken. I am correct. I'm a righteous man, okay?
Okay.
I'm a righteous man. I do appreciate that they really kind of paint Frollo in kind of a Pharisee-type fashion. The biblical allegory is pretty good. Pharisees are like religious leaders. Because I heard the question coming out.
Yeah.
Of Jewish times. So they were the cool people, and Jesus did not make a lot of friends with the Pharisees. Because he kind of came in and upset their system. He tells a whole lot of parables where the Pharisees are the bad people. Okay. There's one that basically directly relates to the scene before Hellfire comes on, where he's over there I'm, so righteous. Maybe he's already started singing. It's hard to know when you just sing at random times in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But he's over there I'm so righteous and good, and And there's a whole parable where Jesus is like, the prayers of the Pharisees are like, I'm righteous and great, and God, I'm pretty cool. Remember that I'm pretty cool, by the way. Did you know, God, that I have followed your rules and I'm a good person? And then, like, the sinner person's over there like, oh, I'm a bad person, God. I'm a sinner. I'm trying, but I'm not great. And then he's like, oh, the righteous person in this case is the, beggar, sinner, or whatever. I don't remember exactly how that goes.
I thought you knew everything, Nietzsche.
I do know everything.
So you're purposely not disclosing this information. I understand.
Well, I need people to go look it up so that they engage in some activity. This is my proselytization efforts.
No one understood what you just said.
Proselytization? Everybody knows what that word is.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Everybody does.
A 4-year-old child knows what that word is.
I believe it.
They can go look up the word proselytization.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, Frollo, I think he's a good antagonist. I like him a lot. He is very obviously the bad guy from the very first scenes, but it's intentionally obvious. And I think the scene where he chases down the woman, takes the baby, he's about to throw it down the well, and the eyes of all the statues on the tower looking at him. I think that's a really cool shot, actually. It's very, like, Gothic inspired, like Gothic horror kind of thing. And I think that's really cool. I think visually it's really nice. And then he has that kind of moment where it's like, okay, well, probably shouldn't do this. And then he immediately just throws this kid onto the priest that comes out. And he kind of returns later in the movie, helping out. Kind of like that guy.
The priest is a good guy. I feel like they handled religion really well. Because we showed, like, there are some bad people in this religious deal. There's Frollo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Frollos in the world who feel like they are great people. I heard a good example one day. This guy was talking to this woman and she is like, I haven't sinned in 30 years. She felt really confident in herself that she had never sinned in 30 years.
That's impressive.
And the pastor responded like, well, you're getting pretty close to Jesus. You're going to pass with Jesus one day. It's pretty good. Pretty funny stuff.
Haven't sinned in 30 years. That's an impressive feat.
It's an impressive feat. Yeah. So there's Frollos of the world.
Yeah.
And then there's good old priest man. I don't even know if he has a name. And he might not be the priest. He could be like a deacon or something. I don't really know what he was. He was a cool guy.
Yeah, I like him.
He was my friend.
Yeah.
He was a good part of this movie.
Yeah, I like him. Pretty solid.
He was standing up for the innocent blood being shed, granting people sanctuary, being a good guy.
Sure.
Better than everybody else in this movie. Well, see, oh yeah, you guys remember this lover kid? Phoebus, who was White Knight upon White Knight.
Yeah, he's definitely the White Knight. None of the characters I think are like particularly amazing, but again, it's a Disney movie. I think you could say the same about pretty much all of them.
I don't think that a lot of characters are necessarily great in Disney movies, but I especially felt like this was super typecast and super boring. But then the Gargoyles were there, and I wasn't a fan. I didn't think the Gargoyles were great. I did not really feel like they needed to be there. I didn't understand why they chose to, like, mess with the goat a little bit, but they didn't do anything to anybody else. Like, it's just good old Hunchback over here. We'll talk to this guy. Like, at what point did they decide to talk to this guy? How come they're the only statues? How come this is never explained? There's a lot of questions I have about the Gargoyles.
They are a mystery, and I would agree that they are not a strong suit of the movie. They're fine, but I could take them or leave them, whatever. They're pretty forgettable. I don't think they're really funny. I think they're meant to be kind of a comic relief. I don't think they accomplish that very well. I think the goat's better at that. And then they're just dissing on that goat, not realizing that the goat is better than them. How unfortunate. But I don't hate them. They don't do anything particularly egregious to, like, stroke my ire or anything. Like, they're fine.
I just kind of feel like they are a waste of time on the screen.
It's already a short movie.
It's an hour 37 or something, but I think the movie ends up at like an hour 26 or 27 or something.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
But they're not useful, I didn't feel like. You could have had other friends. You could have had some talking animal friends. Some birds. Some birds would have been better. The Gargoyles were not necessarily very great. They don't make very funny comments. I don't really understand why these Gargoyles don't have lower bodies. Because there's other gargoyles that have lower bodies. But these are just pegs.
They were probably just set on something and forgotten about. That's why Quasimodo feels for them.
That's why he feels for them. Because
Yeah.
he's the dredges of society without understanding how society even works.
Yeah.
He's not even really the dredges of society. He's just an unknown to society.
Well, actually, he does seem to be known as an existence because when they see that he's not wearing a mask at the festival, the jester guy is like, oh, look, it's the bell ringer of Notre Dame, right? So they have an understanding that he exists, but don't know what he really looks like, which I do think is really weird. Like, I don't really understand the knowledge, what the common knowledge is, but it's a small thing. I don't really mind.
It's because the peasants are irrelevant. Nobody even talks about them. They don't have names. They're not cool. You get the one little girl who's there at the beginning, and then is his, like, friend at the end for Quasimodo.
Yeah.
Giving him a little hug. Being a nice, cute little child.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, great. How sweet. How touching. I just felt so many emotions.
I can tell. I mean, I could hear you crying.
Yeah, I give a nice little sniffle at the end, just for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was authentic.
It was very authentic. There were tears streaming down my face. This is it. We found something that made me cry.
Whew, nailed it. It didn't even take long.
It didn't even take long. But yeah, I don't know. Who else is there to talk about?
That's about it. I mean, there's really only, like, the 4 main characters and then the 3 statues. That's really the only characters of significance.
Yeah, it's a really small cast.
Yeah,
I guess the
I
goat.
like that.
I don't really like the goat's fine. It serves a purpose. It's there.
The goat did, I think, have a name, too.
He does have a name. She refers to him when they're doing the initial tour of the tower, as he's eating all of the woodworking things. And I think it's funny that the goat eats things. I just thought it was really jacked that she doesn't do anything about it. She's not like, oh, these are really beautiful and cool. Hey, don't eat those.
I think the idea is that he didn't. That's right. He's trying to be sneaky about it.
Is he being sneaky? She, like, turns to him. He's got it halfway in his mouth. And he just...
Yeah, he's hungry. A goat's gotta eat. And goats are notorious about eating a lot of things. Wood just sounds great, I guess.
I don't know how much they really eat wood, but...
Oh, I have no idea. It's been a while since I've interacted with a goat.
I don't think I've ever... Oh, no, I've interacted with a goat at, like, the little petting zoo things.
Oh, yeah.
You remember those? Like the zoo and stuff?
I definitely remember the petting zoos. I don't know if I've ever been to more than one.
I've been to a couple with my grandparents and stuff. We would go and they'd give me like a little bit of money so I could buy the feed and feed them. And I did not enjoy that. Because it's like licking your hand and it's kind of gross. That smells bad. I didn't hate it as a kid, but I never thought that I needed to do that again. And I don't know that I would want to do that in my adult life.
I see no reason to.
Maybe when I have a child that looks like Quasimodo.
You'd sacrifice that kid.
His name would be Raktabaska.
It would be.
It would be great. It would be fantastic. But Quasimodo, as a whole, is not that enjoyable. Like, I like his little bird scene, and I like when he's being, like, a nice person. But I don't really feel like I could have seen him struggle a little bit with some things, have, like, some dilemmas. And he does sometimes. But it's very clear from the get-go where the dilemma's going.
Yeah, what I like about him is that despite his upbringing and being told, he's a monster, he doesn't belong in society, he's still a pretty good person at heart. Like, he grows up to be more than that. So I really appreciate that. I think it shows a strength of character that's just innate in him. Like, he's just a good person. And I like that he's brave. I like how he just, he played some Assassin's Creed and gained some great skills. Jumping around that tower like a monster. Just like, oh, you want me to carry this person and a goat and just jump across? No problem, I got this. That's pretty crazy. But it shows him to be abnormally strong all the time.
He is ridiculously strong. Like, the whole scene where he's, like, in chains and stuff, all I thought of was, like, the Samson scene in the Bible, where Samson does a lot of bad things, okay? And then he eventually gets captured, because God kind of just says enough. well, he breaks a lot of the rules that God set in place, and then he finally just kind of gets screwed over. So he doesn't have any eyes, and he's sitting there chained between two towers, like pillars of a building, and then he, like, you know, pleads to God, and God gives him strength again. He pulls the towers down on the Philistine people. And that's all I could think of, was how similar it was, and how ridiculous it was. You know what was also ridiculous about that scene? He gets his rope, and he, like, calms down, and he, like, pulls Esmeralda off, and his rope is just there. Physics don't work. It's fine. The rope doesn't swing back. It doesn't catch fire. Nothing bad happens to this rope.
Oh, I don't even know that I noticed that. That's kind of funny.
Like, maybe it doesn't stay there, but it would have to have moved. He's there long enough that it would have to have flown back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he just reaches up, and there it is.
Perfect. Nailed it.
He's doing good stuff.
Like I said, he's mastered the game physics of the world, and he's transferred that to his world.
I think we need isn't there a Hunchback of Notre Dame game?
I've never heard of one.
I thought maybe there was. We need one, if there's not one, so that we can have like an Assassin's Creed style just climbing around.
That's the Hunchback. Quasimodo.
You could have free choice. You could just swoop down and murder citizens. Just blah!
That would be pretty terrifying.
Or you could save them. You know, you could be a nice person. You can make your decisions.
Wow.
Have a morality system here.
Wow.
This is a good game.
Yeah, sure. An amazing game.
People will play this game, okay?
They would play this game, but not for very long.
You don't need it to be played for very long. All you gotta do is make a sale.
I will say, the song that I dislike the least is after you first see Quasimodo and Frollo, and they're talking, and Frollo starts singing about how he's kind of a monster and whatnot. I like that. But then we go to the part where Quasimodo is like, oh, if I only had one day out there. That song, that part. I don't really know if there's supposed to be two different songs or just one connected song. But I don't really like the part where he's singing about one day out there. I just don't feel like it sounds great. It's my least favorite song of that movie. And there's actually quite a bit of songs in this movie. I actually think there might be too many.
There is definitely too many songs. And we relied really heavily on the choral background. Mm-hmm. Which works a lot of times, but it doesn't work every time. Mm-hmm. Like, the music was there, and it was never bad, as I said, but it was not always great. I did not really like that song either, but that was partially because all I could think of there was the Little Mermaid song, Part of Your World. It sounded semi-similar to what I remember it sounding like, and then that's all I could think of.
I don't even know what song you're talking about.
It's when she's sitting there like, I just want to be part of your world.
I'm telling you, my knowledge of Little Mermaid is so small.
Some people are aghast right now that you have never, or that you don't remember.
Yeah, I have seen this movie. Have I seen it fully more than once or twice? No.
It's a famous song. I feel like if you have general Disney knowledge, you know the song Part of Your World.
The only song I really, pull out of Little Mermaid is the Sebastian song.
What's the Sebastian song?
Under the Sea.
Oh, I don't feel like that's Sebastian. It's just like, that's the other famous song. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
No, Part of Your World is the other famous song. I want a poll started. I need you guys to tell how many of you knew that song when I mentioned it. And prove this kid wrong.
All of them.
That he is just a failure.
I will accept
Again, he is not a righteous man, but I am. I'm a righteous man.
Righteous man Nietzsche.
Yeah, it doesn't have a good ring to it.
No, it doesn't. He needs to change.
I'm just saying I'm a righteous man. We just gotta keep it there. And because I am righteous, my opinions on this movie are law and perfect. And that's that this movie is not that great. It's fine. Better than some other Disney movies. It's better than I remember it being. I remember this movie being really boring. But I feel like part of what I really appreciate about it is like the religious allegories and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I thought that would be an appealing part.
Yeah, you were right. As like an adult Christian male who went to Bible college, I kind of like these things. And it worked out pretty well. It saves this movie a lot. Otherwise, this movie would be dreadful. It'd be so boring.
I can understand where a lot of people think it's not that great of a movie. And I think that's pretty fair. I think there's a lot of criticisms that can be laid at it. The characters are pretty typecast. There's not a lot of them, and being typecast means that they're pretty predictable. Kind of understand how it's going to flow. And I think you could say that's a problem. But what I think it does really well is its imagery, specifically with its like animation and cinematography. I think is really strong. Again, Hellfire. I don't think that's actually what it's called. I don't really know what the song is actually called. I always forget. But I think that's a really, really great piece. Definitely kind of a darker song for Disney. I think it's really cool. And even though the characters are pretty typecast, I think they're still enjoyable. I think their designs are simple, but I think that actually works to its strength. I think a lot of the designs are simple outside of like architecture. I think they do a lot with the architecture, which I think is really cool. I really like seeing architecture in movies and animation. Really anything. I actually think architecture as a visual is really cool. And I think it's a really strong part, especially like the bells ringing and whatnot. That's really cool. I like the details in the bell tower. I think there's a lot of strengths that work really well for me. When there's the windmill that gets burned, that scene, like they're out kind of by a river, it's kind of out on the outskirts of the city. You can really quickly establish what's happening in the scene just from in a second of the visual. And I think it's really kind of dark, like it's dark looking, partly because it looks like it's going to rain and, dark clouds are out. But they're on this, like, witch hunt, and this guy's, like, doesn't want to hurt innocents. But Frollo's like, nah, burn this shit down. These guys are awful. They rebelled, whatever. It's a little silly how fast that windmill goes up in fire. But, again, it's an animated movie it's short and to the point. It's fine. But I think, like, the visual of it is really striking, actually. Like, it really appeals to me in a way. And maybe I just have a very simple taste, but it really works really well for me, and I like it a lot. So there's a lot of strengths to it on a visual point for me. And as a really visual person, that's pretty important. I think the animation's pretty good, especially with like Quasimodo's hair. I think they do a pretty cool job with that, actually. Colors, I think, are good. They're really good at showing like brightness during like the Festival of Fools. And even though it's kind of a dark scene at points, you can still kind of see it in the colors. Like, they're bright, but they're, like, a bright red and whatnot, which kind of conveys, like, a darker meaning than, like, a yellow or something. So I think visually it works really well. So overall, that's why I really like the movie a lot. It's just the visual of it. I think it all works really well. And even though it can be pretty basic in its concepts and execution, there's no, like, problem with it. I don't think there's, like, a weakness to it. So it's never bad. Outside of, like, maybe the one song that I don't really care about. But overall, I think it's a good experience.
It's basic. I agree that the animation is done well, but it's Disney. Disney generally does good animation, at least in this time period of the older movies. But I did not love the basicness of it. It is darker for a Disney film, and that helps it. But it's not great. Like, it could have been darker, and I realize it's never going to be because it's a children's movie.
Yeah.
And the book might be. I've not read the book. I don't even own this book. Maybe I need to buy this book.
It's a classic, right? Technically?
Probably. I don't know. Victor Hugo is a cool guy. I think he wrote some other things. I might be wrong. Someone's going to lambaste me. It's great.
Nobody knows this random trivia fact.
Nobody knows. People know who Victor Hugo is. Okay, less people know who Victor Hugo is than people who know Part of Your World.
Yeah, for sure.
But now you know who Victor Hugo is, and you will remember this, but you will not remember Part of Your World.
That's true.
And that's sad. I'm going to sing this to you.
Let's hear it.
I forgot. I can't remember the lyrics now.
That's disappointing.
Is there anything else that you would like to say about this wonderful film? Any other wonderful things you really like about it? Because you don't hate anything about this movie or dislike anything about this movie but one song. That's it.
I think that's the weakest part of the movie is that song for sure.
The Part of Your World song.
Yeah. And I would say the Gargoyles are the second piece of the puzzle that's weakest. But I don't think they're as bad as the song. And I don't think the song is like atrocious, but I don't really like it either. Otherwise, I think the film is pretty solid throughout. I'm never bored. You're over here like, oh, the first, hour of the movie is boring.
I said 15, 20 minutes. And then it got a little more exciting, and then it was boring again, and it was boring for a while. This is kind of just boring for a lot of it. There were like moments of excitement.
I will say, every time I watch this, I want to look up what the heck the Festival of Fools is. Because I know it's like a real life event. I always forget. I just never do it. Every time I watch it, though, I'm like, oh, I should look that up. Then I never do.
There could be one of like a Renaissance fair or something type thing.
Maybe.
There might be something like that. I don't know, though.
I know that this is supposed to be in like the 1400s, but I don't know when you would consider like the Renaissance period to be.
I think that's technically after the Renaissance, but that would be before the Renaissance, I think. I don't actually know that because I don't remember the weird dates on these time periods because history was not that exciting.
I thought you were a man of history, let me tell you.
Look, I made my historical references. I made my references to Jesus and the Pharisees.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
And then, of course, a word that everybody, including 4-year-olds, know.
Yeah, you don't even remember what this word is.
Of course I don't remember what this word is. Nobody knows this word.
People know what this word is.
Okay. I don't believe you. I believe 1 out of 1,000 people know what that word is.
1 out of 1,000 people. So we really need you to share this to the point that there's 1,000 people who listen to it. And only one of you has to know this. And then he's right. But once we get to 2, it's done. 2 of you. That's all I need from you.
Yeah, I need you to not ask near a church, though. Because that'd be cheating. I need you to ask in, like, the middle of Portland or Seattle or something.
Only the West Coast. Because the West Coast is best coast.
Correct. I mean, who cares about the rest? I mean, what other cities are there? None. That's your answer. None. So, those of you in Seattle or Portland, please ask 1,000 people if they know, what's the word?
Proselytization.
Yeah, if they know that word. I'm not even going to attempt to say that. I don't even know that he's saying it correctly.
Proselytization? That's a real word.
Yeah, okay. Ask those 1,000 people, tally it up.
We don't need...
Send in your answers.
You don't need to ask 1,000 people. You need to get 1,000 people to listen to this. And then they will all comment. We just need 2 comments that say you knew what this word was. That's it. That's all we need from you. That's our little plug. You need to like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you need to do there. Share this along. You definitely need to share it to prove that I'm right.
That's true.
Because I'm a righteous man.
His ego is very important.
I am more righteous than Frollo. I am basically like, there's God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus up here.
The Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was being nice and explaining it better than that.
Okay.
And then there is me.
That's pretty high up.
Like, I sinned once in my life when I was 4. And the cost of that was losing my imagination. It was a high price to pay.
Terrible accident.
It was pretty tragic. But do you have anything else about this wonderful movie since we are so far off topic?
I have nothing else to say. I think I have made my point. I think everyone agrees with me. We all know how high you are, but sometimes it's the little man that's correct. And in this instance, that is me, and I am correct.
I also do not have anything else to add to this, because as a righteous man, I know to hold my tongue and not be baited by your temptation to say mean and bad things. Also, leave recommendations for the next Disney film that we should watch, or movies from your childhood that are beloved. Maybe we should watch The Little Mermaid.
That would probably be an important one. A lot of people like that film.
We just need to watch it for your sake here.
I guess. I think that's a movie I'm going to not enjoy very much, but we'll see when we get there.
What would you give this?
I would say this movie is a solid 8 out of 10.
I give this a 6.5 out of 10.
Have at us.